Hey everyone, this is DW's Darius. So someone asked me to make a video about internal parasites and how to deal with them. I know from experience that internal parasites are very annoying. They're not the easiest parasite to deal with. So today this video is going to be straight to the point, just me telling you everything I know about internal parasites. So first off, I find that some fish are prone to internal parasites more than others. And this is the case with just about every disease. For example, the ick disease, you have fish like silver dollars that will get affected worse than cichlids. So like with every disease, some fish get affected worse than others, and with internal parasites, like I said, cichlids, and in particular, Central and South American cichlids. From my experience, these were the only fish I've had that dealt with internal parasites, and they get it easier, from my experience, than other fish. Now, what is the cause of internal parasites in our aquariums? The easiest thing to say is that we go to a fish store, we buy a fish already infected, and we bring it back, and that's how it gets into our aquariums. I believe that is a lot more complicated than that. Consider the times when you don't buy fish for months, and then out of nowhere, your fish has the ick disease. What about the times when you don't buy fish for years, and then out of nowhere, one of your fish has an internal parasite? I did a video like this a little while ago, and the thing is, these parasites, they live in our aquariums. Regardless if they manifest themselves on the fish or not, these parasites are in our waters, they're in our aquarium stores, they're at the wholesalers. These parasites are in the hobby. The same way we have beneficial bacteria in the aquarium, but we can't see it, but we know it's in there. It's the same way these parasites are in there. The only thing is they don't have a host. As long as they don't have a host, they're dormant, and they pretty much don't have any effect on the fish or the environment. These guys are harmless, they're invisible until they have a host. How did they get a host? When a fish lowers its immune system. And we all know that a fish lowers its immune system through stress, just like all of life, not just fish, plants, all different types of animals, even humans. Our immune system is lowered by the stress in our lives. So let's go back to the first easy explanation as to why fish get parasites. We say that we go to a fish store and we pick up a fish already infected. Now, how many of us actually go to the fish store and pick out a fish that looks sick? How many of us go to a store and pick out a fish that looks like there's something wrong with it? None of us. We all choose the healthiest fish. Some of us even take it a step further and we ask the owner of the fish store to feed the fish just to make sure it's healthy, but then when we bring it home, it's showing signs of diseases a few days later. Why is that? It's simple. Transporting fish is one of the most stressful situations a fish could go through. Imagine it. You're a fish, you're in your aquarium, some guy comes, catches you, puts you in a net, puts you in a bag. In that bag, you're being tossed all around, and then you could end up in this new aquarium, new fish, new struggles. Of course, that is very stressful. During that stressful time, their immune system drops, and that is opportunity for these parasites to strike. And that's why when you order fish online, the risk of parasites is even greater because the stress is greater. Again, the fish is caught, put into a bag, put into a box. Is in that box anywhere from 24 to 36, sometimes even much longer than that. But many hours in this box, and then again wake up in this new environment, new fish, new struggles. That process is extremely stressful. It lowers the fish's immune system, and bam, oh look at that fish, peacock bass just pooped, and no, the 10-foot barb just ate it. But yeah, the immune system is lowered, and then that parasite that is already in your water attacks the fish. That's why these fish, even though they are healthy in the store, and I know a lot of the stores I shop at, some stores do have problems, like some stores are not really that good, but I know some stores I go to, they do extra care to make sure their fish are healthy, but then I bring them home and they're unhealthy. How is that? Because that transportation is one of the most stressful things a fish could go through. That's why it's very important to quarantine your fish after you get them. Even if you get them from a trustworthy friend or whatever, that process of shipping fish or transporting it from the store to your home, that process is extremely stressful, and throughout that process, they have a great chance of catching a disease. So from my experience, stress in the form of transportation was one of the leading causes for fish to lower their immune system and then end up sick with either parasites or diseases. The second most common cause is from bullying, aggression in aquariums, and that fish that is being bullied not being able to cope with it. And this, I think, comes down to the individual fish. Some fish, even of the same species, can handle stress a lot better than others. In my case, I have fish in this aquarium like my Messer's Geoffrius to the right, and then on top my Geophagus brasiliensis. Both of these fish dealt with internal parasites, and for them it was because they were growing up with a bunch of other Central and South American cichlids, but these two grew very slow. Their slow growth kept them at the bottom of the hierarchy, and because of that, they stressed out, and it was to the point where they were catching internal parasites month after month. I would give them treatments, they would get better, and then they would fall right into that problem. And the problem didn't fix until I moved these guys and put them in community aquariums. So that is the second cause of parasites attacking your fish. Bullying. But of course the main cause is stress. The more your fish stress, the lower their immune system becomes and the more vulnerable they are to these parasites that are in the water. Now, what are the symptoms of internal parasites affecting our aquarium fish? So the first and the most obvious and the most undeniable symptom is white stringy poop. If you see your fish pooping out this white, slightly transparent poop, know that your fish has an internal parasite and treat it. Don't overlook it, because that is the main symptom of internal parasites. Your fish, their poop should be the same color as the food you feed them. So if you notice a white stringy poop, don't overlook it. Like I said, treat it right away. The quicker you treat it, the better off you're going to be. If you don't treat it right away, the next symptom is going to be a lack of appetite. Your fish won't be able to eat. After that, if you still don't treat it, your fish will start breathing rapidly. If you still go on without treating it, the fish will slow down, pretty much spend the majority of its time in one section of the tank trying to avoid every other fish. And if you still don't treat it, your fish is going to develop a sunken belly, and then eventually your fish is going to starve to death, because that parasite keeps the fish from eating and it slowly starves to death. Now, if your fish does have an internal parasite, what do you do next? So the first thing you want to do is quarantine the fish. Now, from my experience, these internal parasites are nowhere near as contagious as external parasites. However, when it comes to treatment, if you do it in a smaller aquarium, not only will it save you more money, but it will also allow you to do more doses if necessary. So I've tried many different products throughout the years when I've dealt with these internal parasites, and I was able to narrow it down to just 2 treatments. So out of all the different products I tried, out of the hundreds of dollars that I spent looking for products, only 2 of them are effective against internal parasites. The first one is for early treatment. So if you come and you notice the signs right away, stringy poop or the slightest lack of appetite, I would try table salt. Now, like I said, this is for early signs. This is it's usually only going to work if you catch it right away. You raise your temperature of your aquarium to about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. What this does is it increases the metabolism of the parasite to make it breathe faster and make it more vulnerable to the salt. You dose the aquarium with salt. Table salt, that is, not Epsom salt. Epsom salt is more so for digestion problems. Table salt is going to kill the parasite, and that is definitely the cheaper way to go. And like I said, if you're early catching a parasite, this is definitely the best way to go because it's cheaper, and I think it's a little bit easier on a fish than this next option. Now, the next option is for more serious situations. The next option is for, let's say you catch it weeks into the process when your fish is maybe breathing heavy or your fish is not eating. Then you want to refer to medications. Now, out of all the medications I've tried, only one works. And that's pretty scary because only this one medication works. But if these parasites eventually adapt and get used to this product, then we got to find a whole new solution. But the one product that I've used successfully is Parasites. Now, I'm not being paid to speak out about these people. I'm not sponsored by these guys, but this is the most effective treatment. Look at these guys looking at the bottle. But this is the most effective treatment for parasites from my experience. Sometimes it takes a couple of doses, but this is the only thing I've used to get the job done. Parasites. You put your aquarium fish in a quarantine aquarium and you treat it according to the directions. They allow you to either treat the entire tank or do it as a dip. I like to treat the entire tank because it lasts a lot longer than a dip, and it's a little bit less stressful for the fish. And like I said, that is the only product that definitely helps when the fish are in the worst conditions. My cyclamano peacock bass was not eating for a month straight. I was using this Parasites back to back for weeks, and finally he came through it and he was recovered. So this is definitely the lifesaver when it comes to these internal parasites. And like I said, this is so far my only product. If I catch it early, I'll use salt, but if I catch it too late, this right here is the only savior. Finally, how do you prevent your fish from being infected with internal parasites? So the answer is simple, but doing it is somewhat of a challenge, and that is creating a stress-free environment for your fish. Of course, your fish will stress because these guys are trapped in a box, but try to eliminate unnecessary stress. Now, like I said, the biggest stress for aquarium fish is transportation and bullying. Of the two, I believe bullying is the easiest to eliminate or to at least reduce. First off, if you notice any fish that are overly aggressive, do something about them. Either give them time out, put them in a different aquarium, do something, but don't allow that bully, that is excessive bully, to remain in that aquarium. Besides that, look for fish that may be bothered too much. If you have a fish that's being bullied the same amount as everybody else, but it seems like it's handling it a little bit worse than other fish, like it's hiding a lot more, consider it. Maybe that fish needs to move to a more peaceful aquarium until they get a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder, and then try to put it back in this aquarium. But try your best to eliminate bullying, or at least, like I said, reduce bullying. Now, when it comes to dealing with stress, really quickly, look at these two, the black belt and the female dovie. Now, these two go at it all the time, but I know that it's not excessive because they continuously do it. Neither one of them is taking damage, and neither one of them is hiding. So that's how you know that aggression is not bad. If it was to the point where, let's say, the black belt was super aggressive and attacking a female dovie too much to the point where she was hiding consistently, then I want to do something, because then she's stressing out a lot, and then her immune system is lowering, and that's giving an opportunity for a parasite to attack her. But when it comes to stress that comes from transportation, I do believe that one is a little bit more difficult to deal with because you really can't do too much. The only thing you can do is that when you do get a new fish, or when you move a fish, quarantine it first, because during that moving process, like I said, it's super stressful, and you want to see while they're in quarantine if a parasite took advantage of their lower immune system. So put it in quarantine, watch it for a couple of days, and see if it was stressful enough to pick up a parasite. Another thing that you could do is when you pick up fish from a local fish store, try to bring your own 5-gallon bucket. I believe that a fish that is transported in a 5-gallon bucket will have an easier time than a fish that's in a bag, because in that bag they're being flipped back and forth. In that bag they have limited oxygen. So if you could bring your own 5-gallon bucket to the local fish store, not only will it be easier with transportation, when you bring the fish back home, when it comes to acclimation, that also will be very easy for you. Now, after you've transported your new fish home and you have it in quarantine, if you want to add it to an aquarium like this, you also got to be very careful, because it can be very stressful taking a fish, an outsider, and putting it into an established aquarium, because in this tank we have territories, in this tank we have a hierarchy, and that new fish is going to be challenged by every fish in this aquarium just so that they can put them in its place in a hierarchy. On top of that, if that fish swims into the wrong section of the tank, it's going to be attacked because it doesn't know the different territories of the aquarium. So what you could do is you could get a breeder basket, or you could get one of those transparent little small aquariums. I'm not sure what they're called, but these little small tanks, and you put the fish inside that little tank and you put it in different sections of the aquarium. By doing that, you allow the fish to know the different fish that occupy these different territories in the aquarium. And not only that, the fish gets an idea of who's in the tank, who's aggressive towards them, who he could beat, who he can't beat, and just it gives your fish a better time to acclimate not only to the water parameters but also to the fish inside the aquarium. By trying your best to keep a stress-free environment for your aquarium fish, you not only lower the chance of these fish catching internal parasites but also external parasites and also diseases, because all these things are linked to stress. When your fish stressed out a lot, their immune system drops, and I still really can't explain it with great detail, but I know without a doubt that these parasites are in our waters, because let me do something to this aquarium that's extremely stressful. Let me go in there and chase these fish around for like 3 hours straight. No doubt the next day one of these fish are going to be sick or have a parasite, because their immune system is going to drop from all that stress. And whatever is in this aquarium, like I said, we can't see it, but I know something is in there, because if I do that, one of them are going to be sick. So yeah, that is my take on internal parasites. That is my experience with internal parasites. And like I said, not just internal parasites, all parasites and diseases. That is my experience, and that is my advice. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful. If you know anything about internal parasites that I did not mention, feel free to let us all know in the comment section below. What do you think about this aquarium? These guys are definitely a good background to talk to, although they are a little bit distractive. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.